Okay, so revision number 3. I've already said 2 other synths were the first budget hybrid synths, and it turns out there's one that's even earlier than the DW-8000. There's the DW-6000, which came out shortly before the DW-8000. Today, we're going to talk about it, what makes it unique, and whether or not it's worth it. Stick with us. Hi, I'm Zach Marr from Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications. This is our Alamo Sound Lab channel where we talk about all things music tech related. And today we're talking about the less talked about Korg DW-6000, the earlier version of the DW-8000, which was only in production for a brief stint before the 8000, and it was, from what I can tell, the earliest hybrid synth that employed kind of digital wave shapes or digital oscillators with an analog filter. We've covered the DW-8000, the Kawai K3, and the Ensoniq ESQ1, which are all belong in this category. And this is the earliest that I can find. There was other hybrid synthesizers prior to this, but they were ultra expensive. These were a rush by these manufacturers to create a digital synth to compete with Yamaha's DX7 and with FM synthesis technology. And this was Korg's kind of halfway point before they released the M1, which was massively successful in the late 80s. This came out in, I get different dates, but either late 84 or early 85. And interestingly enough, the serial number on this one is like 966, I think, or 996. So I wonder, it's like 0000966, I think. So I wonder if this is literally like one of the first 1,000 units that was ever created. It differs pretty dramatically from the DW-8000. I wasn't sure when I picked it up. And it's interesting, if you look at prices for the DW-6000 and 8000, they're priced not that differently, so I think there's not a lot of great material that documents what's different about them. But wanted to get into what it offered and is it worth the money that they command. I kind of, maybe incorrectly, who knows, the DW-8000 didn't impress me that much. I'm still spending time with it. It's grown on me since then. We're going to do a follow-up video. The DW-6000 I thought might be more interesting than the 8000 because it has an analog chorus as opposed to a digital delay, which was, for the 8000, kind of a really revolutionary feature for the time. But I found it very noisy and a lot of artifacts. I don't like some of the early digital technology. Sometimes it's really nice and warm, but specifically on the digital delay on the DW-8000, I had trouble finding a sweet spot for myself. So I was curious, if you replace that with an analog chorus, what would it be, make the instrument more appealing? And I'm sad to say that it doesn't. The analog chorus on the DW-6000 isn't particularly pleasant or notable in the same way like a Juno 60 or even the Casio CZ-3000, which in a sense is a hybrid synth too, not really. It just has a chorus, analog chorus on a Casio's inexpensive digital synth, so I wouldn't classify it the same as these. But an interesting, I like the chorus on that one. On this one, not as interesting. It has 8, what the DWGS kind of digital waveforms, early, very small sampled waveforms that you use 2 of them, 2 oscillators, and you combine them and kind of use subtractive synthesis to sculpt your patches. It is an evolution after the Poly 800, which was kind of inexpensive, a successful product from Korg. We did a video on it recently, kind of Korg moving away from full-featured polyphonic synths in the late 70s to kind of DCO, controlless, where the knobs were all disappeared. There was cost cutting going on. Again, manufacturers were pivoting to keep up with the emergent FM synthesis digital technology from Yamaha. You saw knobs go away. You saw going to kind of early menu diving. It's actually pretty easy. You select parameters. Usually there was a legend on the front of the synthesizer, like the Poly 800. So they're not terribly hard to program. They're just a little more tedious. This one also does not have an arpeggiator, which you got in the DW-8000, and it's only 6 voices of polyphony. And I think the DW-8000 has 16, if I remember correctly. Or maybe double that, maybe 12. I don't remember. I need to look that up. But less polyphony, no arpeggiator. So it's more basic, less waveforms. It only has 8 waveforms that you can use to build your patches. You get a whole lot more in the DW-8000. And actually, it has a few that are not on the DW-8000, which is interesting. So they took a few off and they added a whole bunch more. So it's really a different instrument. It's got a different tone, got a different sound, and there's not a whole lot of them. Let's take a listen and we'll conclude with thoughts as to whether it is worth owning the DW-6000 and the 8000, or is it worth it saving a few dollars to get a DW-6000 instead of 8000. Let's take a listen and we'll conclude with those thoughts. Okay, there you have the DW-6000. I'm going probably to film a comparison video with the 8000. My sense is it's a little more raw sounding and brighter to my ears, but this is my memory of the DW-8000 versus the 6000. I haven't played them recently side by side. One thing it also lacks is any aftertouch or velocity sensitivity, which you get some of on the DW-8000. So it's really much more primitive than the 8000. And really for the price difference between a 6000 and 8000 in today's market, I can't see why you would go with the 6000 unless you're just a crazy collector. It does have its own tone. It does remind me a little bit of the Poly 800 in a sense. We just did a video on that. It reminds me more of that than the 8000, which is odd. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we did that one more recently and it's still that Korg tone. They all share a similar filter, which apparently is based on the SM2044 legendary kind of chip filter that you find in a lot of synths from this era. But very cool piece of technology from Korg. They are the ModWave, Korg's latest kind of digital synth, is in the spirit of the DW series, and it's a cool moment in time where you have hybrid synths, which today is a feature and kind of sought after. At the time, this was like a budget solution to the DX7 digital problem for manufacturers, and so you have this whole kind of synths that time forgot, hybrid synths of this era that were, it was like the next best thing. But in today's world, a lot of people are like, these are actually cool pieces of history worth owning. Personally, these aren't my favorite hybrid of the kind of classic hybrids of this era, the budget hybrids. The 8000 has grown on me. The 6000, I would say, is less desirable than the 8000. And again, like I said, I think the 8000 is probably a better buy. But when you're comparing it to an ESQ1 or a K3, I can't say that I would recommend it over those. But that's for another video. Would love to hear your thoughts. What did I leave out about the DW-6000? Did I forget anything? Please leave a comment below. Would love to continue the dialogue. And if you'd like to talk more, come visit us at alamomusic.com. We'd love to see you there. And if you didn't subscribe, I'd appreciate you and you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe. You'll see future videos like this. Thank you for watching.